Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Homage to the fully enlightened Buddha, the worthy one, the exalted one. Dear friends in Dhamma, today I would like to share some words of wisdom of the Buddha. These words of wisdom are very useful for our day-to-day life. Today I am going to discuss with you 8 worldly conditions. This is called in Pali Atta Loka Dhamma. Atta means 8, Loka means world, Dhamma means condition, worldly condition. 8 worldly vicissitudes. 8 worldly vicissitudes or 8 worldly winds. So, no matter whatever the faith you are having, whether you belong to a theistic religion or non-theistic religion, or you are atheist, it doesn't matter. Even Buddha himself has to face these 8 worldly conditions. Even though he was enlightened, he was not exempted from these worldly conditions. So, some people try to promote some religious people try to promote their religion, saying that if you follow our faith, if you follow our Creator, our God, you will be all right, you will be safe, you will not have any problems, you will be always okay, you don't have to work hard, everything will be marvelous and fine, and this kind of misleading people. So, we need to understand, no matter whatever faith you have, these 8 worldly conditions are coming behind us. So, one sutta in Anguttara Nikaya, the numerical discourses of the Buddha explained that 8 worldly conditions keep the world turning around. 8 worldly conditions keep the world revolving around, and also the world turns around the 8 worldly conditions, or the world revolves around the 8 worldly conditions. What are these 8 worldly conditions? So, we can say labha, alabha, gain and loss, fame or obscurity or disrepute, disgrace, praise and blame, and pleasure and pain. So, Buddha in Mangala Sutta, Uttassa loka dhammehi cittang yassana kampati. If we can develop a mind, if you can expand your mind or concentrated your mind, or develop your mind to such a level that you will not be disturbed, you will not be shaken by these 8 worldly conditions. What are these? Gain, loss, fame, obscurity or disrepute, praise, blame and pleasure. So, in the same sutta in Anguttara Nikaya, just now I mentioned, Buddha said, there are 2 responses to these 8 worldly conditions. These 2 kinds of responses coming from 2 different kinds of sets of people. One set of people called enlightened people, those who have eradicated all the defilements, those who have eradicated all the craving, anger, hatred, delusion. Those people are called arahants or enlightened beings or Buddhas, Pacceka Buddhas. These enlightened beings, they have developed their mind to such an extent, and they have eradicated totally and completely all the defilements. Therefore, their defilements are no more available. So, they also face these 8 worldly conditions, but they are not moved by these 8 world conditions, or they are not shaken by these 8 worldly conditions. They are not just become the victims of the 8 worldly conditions. But other set of people called uninstructed worldlings, and those who have these defilements, craving, desire, anger, delusion, these people, when gain comes to them, they think, oh, I have a great gain, I must be very happy, I have a lot of wealth and all that. So, he is moved by it, he is attached to it. So, this is called shaking our mind. And once he is losing those gains or profits or wealth, he will be very upset, he will be very angry, he might be frustrated, upset, disappointed. And again, these unenlightened worldlings, uninstructed worldlings, who also have some kind of fame, they become, perhaps they might become swollen headed, or they might become very proud and all that. And also, when their fame is gone, or they are receiving disgrace or disrepute, and the people around them are no more, they will be upset and very feeling very bad and stressed and depressed. So, they might get very upset. And again, those who uninstructed worldlings, that worldlings, people who are not enlightened, when they have some praise, they become elated, they become very happy. And when somebody is blames them, they become dejected and feel very bad about them, depressed and disappointed. And similarly, uninstructed worldlings, those who haven't enlightened ones, when they have some pleasures, they are very happy, they are overjoyed, and they are very feeling very great. But when they have some physical pain or mental pain, dukkha domanassa, they will be very upset. So, but the instructed people, the enlightened people, their responses towards these things are equally same. They are not dejected, they are not elated, they are not going to extremes. They feel it, but they do not have that kind of pain. So, it is our duty, our responsibility to develop our mind to such a level. It is not an easy thing. We need to practice and see the world through realistic eye. We need to see the world through realistic eye. Buddha, for example, Buddha had a very hard time in Savat Nuwara when he was living in the Anathapindika's Jeta monastery. There was Buddha's fame went everywhere. Many people converted to became the followers of the Buddha, and they began to treat the Buddha and the monks very well. They offered lunch and robes and all that, very nice places to live, the monasteries. And the other religious people, other religious cults were very jealous of the Buddha. So, they plan a kind of coup, they plan a kind of conspiracy. They decided to send a very beautiful woman to the temple in the evening, and her name is Sundari. Sundari means actually really beautiful woman, and she used to come to the temple in the evening. She used to go out of the temple in the morning, and people saw that she is constantly going to the temple evening and coming out from the temple in the morning. And later these guys, these other religious cults and other religious followers, killed her and hide her body inside the flower garbage place. You know, there was a pit or kind of a place where all the flowers and the leaves were put. So, they dig it little bit more and hide with the leaves and the flowers, and after 1 or 2 days the body was found in the temple compound. Now it is a really big news in the town, and people were blaming that Buddha and the Buddha's disciples were murderers. They are rapists. They have killed a woman and buried in the temple compound, and this story spread throughout the city. Now the people, when the Buddha and the Ananda Thero, Buddha's attendant, and all the other monks went around the alms round, people began to scold them, throw stones and shout and blame and all that. So Venerable Ananda was not enlightened at that time, and he was very upset about this blaming, and he is very sad that Buddha was blamed unnecessarily, unjustifiably, unreasonably, because Buddha haven't committed any crime, Buddha haven't committed any rape, and he wasn't a murderer, and he knows very well. And Buddha was get blamed innocently without doing any harm or any wrong thing. And Ananda Thero come and suggest to the Buddha, Venerable Sir, my Lord, let's move to another city. We cannot live in this city like this, because people are blaming us, people are harming us, giving so bad time to us, and they are disreputing our reputation. We can't live like this, let's go to another city. Then the Buddha said, suppose Ananda, if the people in that city also began to blame us, began to scold us, began to despise us and dispraise us, where shall we go? We go to another city? Will we stay there or go to another city? Then Buddha said, no, Ananda, if there is a question, we must not run away. This is a really good example for our life. Sometimes people have a very hard time, harsh time. For example, in Sri Lanka, now we are having a very, very harsh time, very hard time. Economically, we are very bad, our minds are very hopeless, and we might think there is no future, there is no end, there is no end to these sufferings and problems. So it is not the way for us to run away from our problems. We must face it. If we try, we can find out the solution. We can find out the some kind of relief. If we work hard, if you are ready to work hard, if you think more and think deeply and work together as a nation, we can come out of this kind of problem, danger, and this kind of difficult situation. Then Buddha said like that, after few days, the king was able to find out who were the culprit of this killing of Sundari and all. Then the Buddha was cleared from all this allegation, and Buddha was no more. People began to praise the Buddha again. So when we have this kind of situations, we must not be upset. We must not be get disappointed. And also we must look at all the arguments, all the criticisms leveled against us. We can look at in two ways. One way of looking at this problem is, we can look at it as whether this criticism is a constructive criticism. The things they are saying, they are complaining, they are saying, is it true? Is it not true? If it is true, it is okay. We must correct ourselves. If we are having shortcomings, if we are having some wrong mistakes in our life, in our day-to-day routine, we must be able to overcome all these things. And secondly, if it is a destructive criticism, we just ignore it. We do not get angry with the people who are criticizing us, putting forward false allegations and false claims. We should not get angry with them. We should be very straightforward. Okay, this is not in me, this is not what I am. Then we must take the things not so harshly. We can relax and we can do our own things. We do not need to bother or worry about those things. And during the time of the Buddha, there is another story that two Brahmins, one is called Suppiya, another Brahmin called Brahmadatta. Both of them were following Buddha and his retinue of monks, 500 monks, from Rajagaha to Nalanda. The superior was blaming the Buddha, scolding the Buddha, depraising the Buddha, and the Brahmadatta, his own student, was praising the Buddha and say the good things about the Buddha. And at the end of the day, Buddhas stay in one village, and they also stayed in that village. And the monks began to talk about this quarrel and their arguments. In the same journey, they are coming behind the Buddha, and one is criticizing the Buddha, other one is praising the Buddha. His student is praising the Buddha, teacher is blaming the Buddha. Then the Buddha said in the evening, monks, if someone says something about us, we should not be very hurried to take decision or decide, oh, this is not good, this is not right, this is bad, something like that. So, we must look at the criticism very carefully, whether this is right or wrong, whether this is true or not. So, we need to consider whether these things are, these allegations are right or not. Then if it is right, then we can take precautions. So, in this story, these two monks, the two Brahmins, blame and scold, then blame and scold. The Buddha said, we must consider these facts true or not. And if it is true, we should not get angry and we must correct ourselves. And if it is false, we should explain that is not us, these qualities are not in us. So, what you are saying is wrong, that is all. We need to bring them further and suffer ourselves too much. And another important thing in a situation like this in our life, when we have bad times and our goals we cannot achieve and hopeless, there is a very nice story. There was one she elephant. This she elephant was very clever, and she won many battles for the king. And gradually this she elephant became very old and she feeble and she cannot do the war, but still the king looked after this she elephant very well. One day this she elephant went to a lake to drink some water and have a bathe, but unfortunately that part of the lake was so muddy, she began to sink. And all the people in the royal elephant troops try to bring ropes and try to drag her from the water, stop her from sinking in the mud, but all of their efforts were in vain. Nobody could bring the elephant out of the mud. More people tried, more she tried to get out of the mud, more she sank. And Buddha advised that if you gather all the royal dancing troops and drummers and musicians and play the war drums, war rhythms, this she elephant might arise from the mud. So, as Buddha instructed, the royal dancing troops and the musicians were brought around the she elephant, and they began to play the war rhythms and war drums. And she, in her mind, she began to realize, I am in the war, I cannot keep like this, I cannot sink into the mud like this. She re-energized herself, because and she gradually, with her strength, gain strength with this motivation from the war drums, she get out of the mud and came out of the mud and successfully. So, this real story really shows us that in our real life, we have all the energies, we have all the strength, we have all the experience to overcome whatever the situation we are facing right now. We have these difficult mental state, mental qualities that we are defeated, we cannot do anything, I am lost, I have no hope, I am useless, this kind of very negative thinking. So, when you think again and again same kind of negative things, these are implanted inside your mind. So, it's kind of you become numb. You know, when you are given anesthesia, you become numb. But you also can yourself make numb by negative thinking, that I cannot do this, I have no energy, I have no power, I am sick, I have this, I have that. So many excuses you bring forward in order to not to do certain things. So therefore you need to avoid this kind of negative thoughts and create positive thoughts. When you create positive thought, when you create energy, energy is there. Energy is in our mind, in our limitless, unlimited energy is in our mind, but we have to tune these energies. We have to arouse these energies and start doing. Buddha said that we need 3 levels of energies, that initiative energy, continuous energy, and you continue this energy until you reach the goal. So this is how we reach the goal in our face the 8 worldly conditions. Therefore, friends, today I would like to suggest that even this difficult period is facing us, coming to us, but it is impermanent. All the sceneries, all the memories, all the emotions, we are like going down the river. We see one time and a whole scenery will change again. So therefore, all the bad situation, difficult situation, harsh situation will change also. It won't remain forever. So therefore, friends, let us immunize our mind. Let us make our mind very strong with the teachings of the Buddha, that we can face whatever the difficult situation, whatever the world conditions, and we will build, we will develop unshakable mind. This is the very important thing. No matter what happens outside, inside our mind we are strong, we are powerful, we are unstoppable. That is what we need. That is what we need to learn from 8 worldly conditions. May the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha bless you, guide you and protect you. Namo Buddhaya.